room. Excited to get back to talking to my man, Mike Rathburn. I had to bring him back with his wealth of knowledge around football, all footballs, right? But definitely the NFL game kicking off. I'm happy to have you back. Haven't seen you for a bit, so how have you been?
Good. Just life changes a little bit at the beginning of the year. Had to make some priority changes about where I'm spending my time, and ended up getting pretty heavily involved in Major League Baseball betting this year. So that was actually a huge piece. Stepped back from the hobby as far as buying goes. Obviously, everything that happened at the retail channel, that was much like what Shani had said. I bought a lot of retail in 18, 19. And when everything changed, probably March or April of 2020, really that cut off my supply, and I just became really pretty much a seller.
Right.
So I just stepped away from the hobby quite a bit, and I'm back in it now that the market has kind of calmed down some. I am back into it a little bit more, but yeah, I have gotten heavily involved in sports betting, and so still involved in cards, just not as much.
Yeah, that's fair. I think a lot of people are not as much. I mean, I think a lot of us went a little full throttle, have to pull it back a little bit, but I had to wear my Herbert Oregon jersey for multiple reasons. Herbert looked great this week, and Oregon had a big win, Ohio State. So riding that high. We'll see if it lasts. I'm not sure if Oregon's offense will last, but this is not a college, so we'll get to the pro stuff. But anyway, some takeaways from Sunday's headlines. Kyler shines against the Titans on Thursday's show. I said I was really interested to see how that game went. That's kind of a big divide game for me. The Cardinals need to win all out-of-conference games because their division's so tough. And that was a big one on the road, beating the Titans.
It was a road non-conference win.
Yeah,
it was. I thought it was a great spot for them. I did actually put, and I thought, with Murray being healthy, I just felt like, and also with the Titans secondary not being, and also all the COVID issues, I just thought it was a great spot for Arizona. They jumped out early. The game could have even, I mean, really, they got stuck at 38. I really thought they were going to go over 40, but do like what I saw out of them.
Yeah, big game for him coming up in the hobby. He's been kind of he's right on the 15th quarterback in the league in terms of rookie card pricing. We're going to see that in my report coming out today. I just think that he's been cheap,
in my opinion. That's
very cheap. He's been a buy for a long time. Only thing that's hurt him, he's got a little bit higher pop report than some of those other guys, but I think that he's still a good buy candidate. If he can make it through that division, even get in the playoffs, that division would be really big for him this year, I think.
So, also, he's got the skill set to make a run at MVP. He was flirting with it a little bit last year, right? And then he had the injuries. The injuries, him staying healthy is going to be huge.
Exactly.
He's not a big guy, but we saw that one play where basically he ran around. It was almost like a Tecmo Bowl kind of play.
Yeah,
and you remember the Hail Mary the Hail Murray.
Right.
He's an electric guy, and he's got a shot at winning an MVP. So again, I think he's a buy for me. Absolutely.
Definitely. Steelers upset Buffalo. I also mentioned on Thursday, I was really surprised by that line. I thought the Bills are getting too many points in that game. And, I think I saw the Bills definitely looked that strong early, and they had that one punt block that just really turned the game.
It did.
But
it did.
The
Absolutely changed the game.
Yeah, Steelers special teams or defense.
The Steelers came into it's a bit of a revenge game from last year. The Bills got them. The Steelers did not end the season well last year. Ben was kind of a mess. Ben coming back healthy. Everybody talking about the O-line. 4 new guys. It was a gut check game for the Steelers, and I didn't know if they could win the game outright, but I did think 6.5 was high.
Right.
And so, the Bills, sometimes when a team, and I think you got a couple of teams that are in this position, now there's expectations. Whereas last year there were, they were riding high. New England was down last year. They were able to come in and win the East. So I think the Bills now have that target on their back.
Right.
And again, this was a circle game for the Steelers. So,
the Bills are the only team.
Try not to overreact too much, but the Bills definitely got a target on their back now. So
Bills are the team that people are saying they can challenge KC. Are they the next one? They have the It's 1 year for Allen. We have to just temper a little bit, but we have 1 year
And
of
it may have
elite.
been his career year last year.
Right,
You
1
know,
year of elite year. So can
yeah.
they challenge KC? I thought, if you look at the Steelers' offensive numbers, they are pretty pathetic. Roethlisberger didn't do much at all.
No,
Najee couldn't
no,
get going.
Najee did nothing. No, they
So
really, yeah.
Bills defense still pretty strong. Steelers
Yep.
offense still a little bit question mark. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens. That pump block was big. Just real quick, like Burrow looks good in his first game back. I think just he didn't do anything wow, but I mean he was there, really efficient. Jamar Chase got involved. I just thought
Boy,
there was
I
a great.
loved what I saw out of Jamar Chase. He just he looks like an alpha male, man. I mean, he
Definitely.
has that. It's tough to invest in wide receivers in football just because of the nature. There's so many guys that are cheap, but if really what you're looking for, if you're gonna invest in a wide receiver, he's got to be a wide receiver one. There's 12 of those really in the league. When you quote unquote fantasy wide receiver one, Jamar Chase has the look of a wide receiver one immediately, and so and he's on the right team. They've got some offensive pieces. They've got a secondary receiver in Higgins and Boyd, so that's going to be huge.
Yeah, and so I'm just excited to see Burrow back. I mean, a lot of people thought he's gonna be 4 weeks in; he'd still be not back yet. That's probably the worst knee injury you can have for him to be back, getting a win, all that stuff. But yeah, Jamar Chase definitely looks like Jefferson. I think this bunch of Jefferson, Lamb, and Chase is going to be special. And a lot of the other receivers look good too, but we'll get to them. Darnold gets revenge against the Jets. I mean, he beat the Jets 19-14. That's nothing to write home about. Zach Wilson struggled early, but I think the Panthers getting the win, seeing some of the downfield throws. I thought Darnold was efficient. DJ Moore is actually getting some more targets downfield, which he's been waiting for because Bridgewater couldn't do it. What are your thoughts on Darnold, Mike? Do you see anything there that you like? I mean, a lot of people kind of left him for dead. His prices are left for dead.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly, and that's the thing is he's got the pedigree of the top pick, and guys like that tend to get chance after chance. And he's got a second chance now with the Panthers. I would think that he's going to get better as the season goes on. He's got a tough matchup this week, and it could be a little bit ugly.
Just ask Rodgers.
So we could see a bit of a step back. I think he did the right thing. He leaned on McCaffrey heavy, and I think that's what he's going to have to do until he's comfortable in this offense. Pepper McCaffrey with screens and let McCaffrey win the game. Darnold doesn't have to win games to the Panthers. He just doesn't have to lose them. And that's what you saw them do on Sunday. He didn't win the game. Yeah.
He still has to stretch that third level. That's the thing that they were great.
He hit Robbie on a deep one, which I liked.
My point, when they had Bridgewater last year, they couldn't get past the 15-yard box. So Darnold's going to, like you said, I agree with you that he doesn't have to win the game, but he's going to have to press it past the 15-yard line.
I think that'll happen as the season goes on. That's going to be a defense that's going to cause everybody problems. So, maybe a little bit of a pass this week, but
definitely.
I still think he's a buy. Nowhere to go but up. I mean,
yeah, he's still rock bottom. I'm really shocked that he's as low. I mean, he's still underneath like Daniel Jones and guys that haven't done anything yet. So, but yeah, definitely. I thought it was just a really interesting fact that all 5 rookie quarterbacks found the end zone somehow. I thought that's a good thing for the hobby. That's great for though we
Lance, Lance and Fields get on the field. I don't know about you, but sometimes the eyeball test is a lot to me. And I just talked about it with Jamar. I mean, Jamar just looks like an alpha male right away. I thought Fields looked good. He just looked confident. And a lot like Mac Jones in the preseason just looked very confident, and then he got the starting job. How a guy looks, a lot of times a rookie, Wilson, jury's still out. I don't know. Doesn't have a lot to work with there. That's the key too. Right. Trevor Lawrence, to me, the first name that pops in my head with Trevor Lawrence is Drew Bledsoe. I just feel, and I grew up a Patriots fan, so I grew up in Boston. Right. I just see Drew Bledsoe, and I see him, and he threw a ton of passes, and he had some picks. I think Lawrence is just going to have some of those types of games. I think he's going to he's just going to throw a ton, and because they're going to be down. And he's going to throw picks just because he's going to be having to force the ball in. Right. But he's got a decent group of wide receivers.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I think the yardage is going to be there. I think he's probably going to have a ton of picks, but I think he's going to throw for a ton of yards and get touchdowns. It's just a matter. You got to wait. This Urban Meyer thing could unravel really quick. Just before we came on, I don't know how true these reports are. The USC coach got fired.
Yeah.
Meyer could be out quick, and that
Oh,
actually
for sure. Yeah.
that could
We'll
help.
get to the Jags here in a minute. We're going to dive into that a bit because I think Lawrence has to be a big talk in the hobby. He's the biggest guy, biggest name in 2021 for sure. AFC North and NFC West looks like they're the lock for the toughest divisions. Do you agree with that? And if
By
so,
far,
like
by far.
what are your
Three
who's your
playoff
winners
teams
for each?
potentially. I like the Rams a lot.
Yeah.
I really like the Rams.
Okay.
I love how they looked last night.
Yeah.
I do like the Browns.
Yeah. I thought they looked good too. They folded at the end. Also, a punt issue really cost them the game. They were all over that game. I thought they played quite well. And then speaking of that game, Mahomes being Mahomes, and I think one question we kind of hit real quick, and this could be hobby related. We know that Mahomes is one of the most talented quarterbacks that we've seen in a long time. I think that's pretty easy for everyone to say. But we know that Tom Brady has the best legacy ever that won't be touched. What in your mind is like Mahomes' ceiling? Because I'm just going to say he can't get to Brady level in terms of legendary. Like I don't see Mahomes doing nine championships. Get all the accolades that Brady did. Do you think that for Brady, for Mahomes to establish himself as the second best quarterback of all time, let's just say, how many championships does he need?
4.
Okay.
Salary cap era. Things are a little bit different. We don't have dynasties like we did with the Cowboys and the Steelers. I mean, obviously the Patriots were an anomaly. Brady took less money. We didn't have a cap a lot of those years. It's a different, teams. The window in the NFL is short, man. I mean, it sometimes can be a 2 or a 3 year window. So the fact that Andy Reid being the coach is huge. Yeah. Mahomes is locked up. They paid him. They fixed the offensive line. I mean, look, Rodgers won a Super Bowl early in his career and then hasn't won one since. Could he go the same way as Rodgers? Absolutely, he could. But I think he's in a position where he should win another Super Bowl, at least 1 or 2 in the next 2 or 3 years, barring any kind of injury.
Right.
They draft well. They manage the cap well. Again, Andy Reid is huge. The coach being huge. The Packers had Mike McCarthy, and I think that cost them. That probably cost Rodgers a Super Bowl or 2. Right. So Andy Reid being the coach is huge for me as far as Mahomes' legacy goes, much like Bill Belichick with Brady.
Right. Perfect. Yeah, I agree with that. I think 4 is a good number. I think that to be multi-championship is a big step for the quarterback legacy, but to be number 2, be up there, I think 4. I think that's a good window for sure.
Yeah, because you've got Montana, you've got Favre, obviously a little bit different, but Montana's like that next guy that I think everybody,
Yeah, in terms of championship for sure. Just run through the rookie productions for our listener just so they can hear the numbers of how the rookies actually fared. And then we can just comment a couple too if you'd like. But Trevor Lawrence was 28 for 51 for 332, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. They were down 34-7. So a lot of that stuff was garbage time. Trey Lance was 1 for 1, 5 yards, which was a touchdown. He had 3 carries for 2 yards. So they're getting him looks. Justin Fields 2 for 2, 10 yards, 1 carry for 3-yard touchdown. Mac Jones pretty efficient, 29 for 39, 281, 1 touchdown. Zach Wilson started out, I think he started out 2 for 10. He definitely started out rough.
Ugly first half.
Ugly first half, but he turned it around a little bit in the second half, trying to get them in the game. 20 for 37, 258, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Devonta Smith, very nice break, kind of opening game, 6 for 71, 1 touchdown and 8 targets. Jamar Chase, 5 for 101, 1 touchdown, 7 targets. Pitts 4 for 31 on 8 targets. So a slow game for the Falcons. They really didn't have anything going all game, but 8 targets is good for Pitts. That means they're going for him good. Waddle 4 for 61 on 6 targets and a touchdown, and Najee 16 for 45 on the ground and tough sledding against the Bills. I'm just going to say what I like a lot right now, Mike, is I like how the Bears and Niners are working in Fields and Lance. I don't mind the slow start. I like kind of getting them some field time. I like just getting them accustomed to the game flow and the speed. And I really like this approach to letting them have some goal line, because goal line is still a very important possession. And so giving them some goal line looks, I think is a really good approach to kind of working them in. But anyway, what are your takeaways of that, or just a rookie or two you'd like to comment on?
Yeah, no, I mean, Lance clearly isn't ready. And if Lance can sit out the whole year like Mahomes did, that's probably ideal. The Niners are a good team it's almost identical Alex Smith, Pat Mahomes. Yeah. Fields, different story. I think Fields is going to get on the field a lot sooner rather than later. Andy Dalton's just not a very good quarterback at this stage of his career. think
Right.
they just don't want to throw. I mean, you don't want to throw a kid in against the number one defense in the NFL on the road. So
Right.
that I totally get that. And they didn't play bad in the first half.
No.
But
They were actually getting a good push in the whole line there. I was surprised. The Bears were getting some good lanes for Montgomery. Like they looked pretty good.
Yep.
Offensive line was one of the biggest concerns of the Bears. So that was very encouraging.
Yeah.
I thought, if you're a Bears fan, that was a very encouraging game. I think there could be some.
Yeah, but it also exposed the fact that Dalton can't throw the ball down the field. They look at if you. I think Matt Harmon tweeted out or Josh Norris. The Allen Robinson's route tree the whole game was pathetic. I mean, it was like 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards.
Right.
So that's not good. But Fields is a dynamic player. He's gonna get playing time, and when he does, hopefully it's against some weaker defenses, and we're gonna be able to see how good he is. I really like Justin Fields a lot. I think he could be the best quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, I think he's got a very good running pass. I don't want to say Cam Newton-esque because Cam Newton is.
You know what though? I think you're onto something there. Physically he does look a lot like Cam.
Yeah,
so
I think maybe a better thrower, but yeah, for sure. We'll kind of move into the hot cold players of the week. Just some kind of shocking ones, and cost me a couple fantasy losses here. But Aaron Rodgers, 15 for 28, 133 and 2 picks. I know the Saints they've had a pretty good defense. You know, when they have that lockdown guy and their number one receiver, it can be tough. When Lattimore is on Adams, that's just what Lattimore does. A lot of times he can shut down the passing game. But I was just really surprised that Rodgers couldn't get anything going. They couldn't get the run going. They couldn't get.
I don't think they were ever in the game. I don't think. I think there's a lot to this off the field thing, as far as Rodgers sitting out, the front office issues, the chemistry on the team. I got to think the chemistry is just not there.
Right.
And they just looked like they were beat before they even got on the field.
Right.
And the Saints got a lot to prove. Drew Brees retired. And and Winston's got a lot to prove. And I think Sean Payton has a kind of a much like Belichick, and Brady. Sean Payton is probably out to prove, hey, I can win with another quarterback.
Right.
And so Winston's stat line was pretty crazy. 21 attempts, 5 touchdowns, I think.
Super efficient. Yeah.
And they ran the ball like crazy. Dude, if they're going to run the ball with Kamara and then also with the defense, they're going to be a tough team. I know it's one game, but that's the way that they're going to win. And Winston's probably going to have some eggs. It's hard to just completely flip the switch, but if you limit his exposure and he's not throwing the ball 50 times a game, that's a big factor.
Yep, definitely. Derrick Henry, 17 for 58, 3 receptions for 19 yards.
I was game script. They just got scripted out. I mean, it was
scripted out. I agree, scripted out, but I am concerned that I just don't think I don't think the Cardinals are a great run defense. They couldn't get anything going early. Like they couldn't get their game script at all.
Mike Lombardi made a really good point on VSiN, former Patriots executive, Browns executive, great guy on Twitter and VSiN, Vegas Sports Information Network. He was saying it forever. He did not like the Titans because of the COVID situation. He said with the humidity, with the COVID, he did not. He loved the Cardinals in that spot, and I agreed. And and they did look like a team that just didn't have any gas left in the tank right away.
Right. I think it's just kind of more of maybe that. I hope that's the answer because that team bring in Julio Jones, like they have AJ Brown, like they look pretty dynamic. They look like they could be dynamic.
Vrabel already called out Julio Jones, which is that's not a good sign. So
right, exactly. So I'm a little concerned with that for sure. I put Daniel Jones on here, and his numbers aren't terrible. He has 22 for 37, 267, 1 touchdown with a fumble loss. I just felt like at home against the Broncos with Bridgewater, the Broncos have a pretty good defense. I just think he had to win that game. The Giants are having a tough time getting momentum, and I feel like Daniel Jones is just kind of losing the favors around him in terms of the Giants, and I think his time's running out. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, he fumbled again. That's been a big issue. Turnovers has been a huge issue for him. Barkley, they had announced before that Barkley wasn't going to play a full game.
Right.
Bad spot for them. I think a lot like the Titans in the. I think week 1 easy to overreact. Week 2 is really the key for me. If a team lays another egg week 2, then I think you got problems. I don't
Right.
like the Giants at all this year. I think their offensive line is no good. Barkley's not 100%. I don't like Garrett as an offensive coordinator. I
Right.
think that this could. Joe Judge made a horrible call in the game where he tried to. Appeal. He tried to appeal on a play that it wasn't even eligible to, and he lost a time. It just, I think certain organizations are lose for a reason over and over and over. The Giants haven't won in years, and there's a reason for that.
Yep.
So I'm really down on them, and Daniel Jones is probably going to be a backup quarterback next year.
Yeah, kind of gave me that Trubisky vibe a bit for sure.
That's a perfect comp.
Hot players, you'll like this one because I think you like him. Is Matt Stafford? He's 20 for 26, 321,
Great.
3 touchdowns. I think the one thing that I noticed a lot was that it wasn't volume; it was efficient. Like he was hitting the very pinpointing deep passes, and I think that's what they've been waiting for because we know that Goff was a little limited in the deep ball game.
Yep, that's
so
exactly
definitely
why they brought him in. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that they're using guys like Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee, getting other guys involved in the offense. Henderson had a lot of catches. So that's what McVay wants to do. McVay wants to spread the ball around. He wants to stretch the field, and he wants to be efficient. And then also when you have a defense like that, and you got Ramsey and Donald.
Yep.
I like the Rams a lot. I really do.
I think so too. Yeah, we'll get to Stafford a bit in terms of the hobby at the end here. Kyler Murray's numbers, we talked about him enough. We can just mention his number. He was 21 for 32, 289, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, 5 attempts for 20 yards, and another touchdown. So 5 total touchdowns for him. Just a huge fantasy day and a huge quarterback day. Those are MVP type numbers, as you alluded to. I think that if we just know with him, it's can he do it for the full now 17 game season. Yeah. So Jalen Hurts, he might make me eat crow. I think it's just one game. I think the Falcons are a pretty weak defense. Yeah. I don't like their secondary. But 27 for 35, 264, 3 touchdowns, led all quarterbacks with 62 yards rushing. Either way, it's the best way to start. He looked fantastic. The Eagles look good in general. I thought the Eagles defense was actually quite impressive as well. So what are your thoughts on Hurts?
Still jury's out. Here's why.
Yeah.
Played 4 games last year. Too good, too bad. Only completed 52% of his passes last year. Looked great week 1 this year, yesterday, but played a weak defense. So beat up on a couple of weak teams last year, went up against some tough defenses and really struggled. What I do like about Hurts is a couple things. One is his completion percentage was huge. The running, but he spreads the ball around a ton. Yep. That's not a great Eagles offensive core as far as receivers. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ertz, Goddard, obviously. You got Devontae Smith involved, got Rieger involved. I do like the fact that he spreads the ball around. He did that last year. So I will give him credit. A 52% completion is rough. I don't, I think he's just going to be a guy. He's going to feast against bad defenses, and he's going to struggle against good defenses. So
I think that's the perfect way to see it. And that's how I kind of saw it too against the Falcons. I was like, okay, he hits those big games too. Like you said, he's got a bad completion percentage, but he makes the ones count against the bad defense. Those won't be there against the Rams or against the whoever. So definitely with you on that for sure. But either way, it's a good step for him. It's good for his hobby. Gets him a little bit of love, and the Eagles will win. With that, let's just move to I got a couple Donruss prices again. Kind of Thursday shows a little more hobby focused, and Donruss is just still relatively new. Retail is not completely out yet. There has been some sightings of blasters that people have, but just some notables. Lawrence downtown. So I just found some downtowns. I just wanted to give us some prices on. $2K and one is up for bids for $3,100 right now. So that's pretty insane for Lawrence's downtown out of the gate. Zach Wilson's gone for $1,500 and $2,100. Fields for $900, which I think is a steal. And then Devontae Smith's for $500. And that's why I think Fields is a steal. Fields is only $900 and Devontae sold for $500. And I think he also had one that was all like $590 as well. I think Justin Fields was a steal. But what's your favorite parallel in Donruss? Marvels, downtown? Like, what is your
downtowns? I love them. I mean, it's a very unique insert. It's very clever. I love what they do. It's very creative. I like how they got some of the retired guys in there. Isn't it a 40 card set this year though? That's a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
So what that tells me is they cranked up production because that's not a numbered card.
Right.
not numbered inserts. So they must have really ran the presses on this stuff.
Yeah. Same thing with the rated
Yeah,
rookie thing.
yeah, it's a tough product, man. It's a
For
tough
sure.
product. I mean, it kind of stinks the way that they did it. Just 100 rated rookies, just in one per pack type thing makes it really, really tough. I mean,
Definitely.
but I mean,
Still a
there's a lot.
flagship.
There's so many numbered inserts in this thing, and so many just inserts in general. I mean, hopefully the box prices can come down, because certainly, it's just a tough product. I mean, love to see it at the 250, 300 range, maybe,
Yep.
if we can get there, but maybe not on hobby. But maybe blasters can get down to $40 pretty quickly and make it worth our while.
For sure. For sure. Well, before we get into the 5 takeaways to kind of close out, I got to mention my first sponsor for Behind the Numbers. Just want to give a shout out to Harris and the guys at Queen City Breaks on Facebook. Join their group. They got a free giveaway for Acuna autographed baseball right now, and they do a great job of some kind of smaller 2-3 box breaks that you guys can get in at a little bit cheaper price and kind of enjoy the hobby a bit. So check out Queen City Breaks on Facebook. 5 takeaways of the week. So we'll kind of get these into hobbies and focus, Mike, and then we'll get out of here. All right. So I wanted to just kind of talk about CMC, like what is his ceiling as a running back? Because he got back to CMC usage on last week. He's 90 yards rushing, 90 yards receiving, almost 200 yards total offense. I really can't. I know Kamara does a lot of running, but not quite the running game that CMC does. I just feel like he might be one of the most complete backs we've seen in a really long time. What are your thoughts on CMC's ceiling as an RB? And I know let's kind of ignore the injury and that piece of it, but just in terms of his what he brings to the table as running back.
I think he's got a shot at getting back to being. I mean, he was being drafted number 1 in fantasy overall. I think he's got a shot at being the number 1 guy again. I mean, just a matter of staying healthy. I mean, we saw how many. Darnold's going to rely a lot on him. I think and that's smart. The Carolina Panthers are not going to blow anybody out this year. I think the way they won on Sunday is the way they're going to win games this year, and they're going to rely on Darnold not making mistakes. They're going to rely on McCaffrey and then sprinkle in some DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall. And then I think as the season goes on, I think the offense gets better. But I think early on they just try to play close to the vest, and try to win what they can. But I mean, he looks like he's back to being the CMC that we knew 2 years ago.
I know that the MVP is kind of reserved for quarterback, but do you think he could ever be in play for MVP?
Yes. I mean, he was making a run. He was making a run there. So a lot has to fall. A lot has to fall his way. He's got to probably do like. I forgot he went 100 and 100 yesterday. So that's rare. That's very rare for guys to get that. So
for sure,
I think he's going to have probably 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving, and the Panthers will probably have to contend for a playoff spot. It's going to be really, really hard to, like you just said, it's a quarterback award. But if he somehow just put up, record-setting numbers as far as combined rushing and receiving. And if he set the record for a running back as far as total yardage goes, I think at that point, then he's going to have to be in the conversation.
Definitely. I think that's important for us to consider in the hobby. I mean, I know running backs a lot of risk, but I think that he's a guy that could do it.
The team's going to have to be in contention for a playoff spot too. If they're 5-6 wins, it's not even going to. It won't even be
right. And it's tough because they're kind of slaying that 3rd spot in the division right now. But Winston, I mean, speaking of that division, did Peyton fix him? We know Peyton's one of the best offensive minds in the league. Definitely one of the more efficient games. I don't think Green Bay's defense is not bad. They have one of the better secondaries. They have they're pretty good pass rush. That's a little nicked up, but I don't think that was an easy matchup. What are your thoughts on like Winston, and what do you think his hobby value can do?
Well, again, we talk about pedigree. You talked about it with Darnold. Look, again, a former number 1 overall pick that's now getting a second chance in New Orleans, which is a great organization, great coach. Again, we talked about Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes. I think, Sean Payton can fix Jameis Winston. Again, let's not go too crazy in terms of I think he's still going to have some, questionable games and make some bonehead decisions. He's
Right.
also doing it without Michael Thomas. So that
Right.
also, and he
That,
didn't throw the script of the game. They ran the ball 39 times, I believe the number was. He only threw
right.
the ball 21. I mean, which is a crazy run split ratio.
Right.
That's not going to happen every week.
Yeah. That
Um,
receiving core is nothing to mention about right now. They're just
no. You
picking
know
up
who looked
anybody they
good though
can.
is Jawan Johnson looked good.
Yeah.
He looked like a guy who's got some juice to him.
Yeah.
So Winston could rely on Juwan Johnson and Kamara. Uh,
Yep.
but yeah, as far as hobby go, yeah, we're seeing it, dude. I mean, you know what's crazy? So any of these older quarterbacks that have the 2015, 2016 rookie cards, try to go find those cards. There's not many about, and it's not a ton of graded stuff out there either.
Right.
So, I think I saw earlier today, I was looking on StarStock, Tyler Heineke Prism rookie selling for $35
Right.
uh, because you can't
So,
find them.
right.
And so, and Winston's got some variations and things like that. So
Right. He's got the different
Winston's
prism.
cards are going to jump because they're just tough to find. It's not like
Definitely.
it's not like you're cracking 2015 Prism product.
Yeah. They're before the craze too. There was before
Yeah,
there
and he's got
wasn't
a lot
quite
of
the
top
volume.
stuff. He's got some Topps Chrome. He's got some
Yep.
Finest, Bowman's Best. So,
That's right.
yeah, his stuff's going to be in demand because it's cheap, and all of a sudden he's in a high profile team, and people are going to take a shot on him.
Definitely. He gets another win next week against the Panthers, and that
Yep.
like a division win. They're 2-0. I think
Yep.
definitely he's in a climb.
There's going to be some
if they
momentum with Winston. Yep.
Yeah, if they start up 3-0, 4-0,
Huge.
that drum beat's going to get louder and louder for him for
Yep.
sure. We talked about Stafford a little bit, but I just want to kind of get your take on this point. Is that he looked as advertised? I expressed concern preseason because he has a tough time putting full seasons together. But when he does, he's great. But my thing too for him is what is his quarterback like ceiling, because he's already at the tail end of his career. So he basically has to win a Super Bowl to be like super relevant to me in terms of his hobby values. Cause like right now he's already around Rodgers PSA 10 rookie value, which I think is crazy to me. Just based on like championships and what they've done for franchises. And I just think that the hype of what Stafford could do in a good offense, people are excited about. But long story short, what do you think his like top situation is for Stafford?
The absolute ceiling is he wins the MVP and the Rams win the Super Bowl. That's like the peak, the pinnacle. The chances of that, if you said the number one team was a 15 or a 20% odds, let's say the Chiefs and the Bucks are 15 to 20% chance to win the Super Bowl. The Rams are probably sitting around 5 to 8%. A lot's got to go their way. They're not a deep team, so any injuries could present problems. If Woods or Cup go down for significant periods of time, that could be a serious issue. That would be my concern there. Obviously, if a guy like Darnold or Ramsey went down, that's a huge void. I do think they got a shot at winning 13 to 14 games. I think they're going to click. I think everything is in play for them to make a run this year. I do like them a lot. I don't like picking the Super Bowl champ again. It's really hard to predict and repeat. Obviously, I don't like the situation going on off the field with the Packers. So now all of a sudden, who are you left with? You're left with the Rams, maybe the Seahawks. I think everything is there for the Rams. I know it's only 1 week, but I do like the Rams to come out of the NFC.
It'd just be really interesting to me to see. Let's just say that he does go win the Super Bowl, and let's say he passes Roger. He's right up there with Ben. Ben in terms of rookie card value. It's just going to be really surprising to me because I just think that he's been on a bad team for a decade, and he hasn't have a playoff win. He hasn't done anything for a decade as a number one overall pick. The talent's always been there, so we can kind of blame the Lions if you'd like. But I'm just really interested to see what that ceiling is in terms of his price. I'm kind of almost just interested. I don't even feel good about saying one way or the other. But to me, I think like Russell Wilson, Rodgers, Big Ben, their careers are going to be above Stafford no matter what.
Enough. Wilson's stuff is still criminally underpriced. Yeah, and they still could make a run. We don't know. They're the new offensive coordinator there. I think is a big plus. Lockett and Metcalf, and the defense is just going to be the key. Do the Seattle Seahawks have enough on defense to be able to, to me, it's going to come down to the Rams and Seattle. And I do like the Rams right now. That could change, but
let's
You know that.
let's let's jump to the number 5. Wilson's new OC got him rolling. And, a lot of people felt that the OC from before was just run heavy and a lot of play
Oh,
action and want to open up for Wilson. And it seemed like they
terrible.
did against the Colts.
Yeah.
4 touchdowns. First game looked good. Colts are a good defense as well. They got pretty good
Yeah.
front 7. They're
Yeah.
back in.
No Xavier Rhodes yesterday. I think that was a big factor.
Yep.
We saw the Seahawks be able to go deep. I don't think that would have happened. So that
Yep.
I think that was a factor in the game. But
Right.
yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see how they bounce back and play this week. Winning on at Indianapolis is a good win. It's a good win.
Yep. Yeah, I think to me, I'm with you. Wilson's 100% a buy. He's criminally underpriced. And I also feel that, like, just if you hear about the offseason stuff that Wilson does, like how much money he's putting into his body, I think he's going to be playing for a long time.
Yeah, I think
really
he's
do.
following the Tom Brady.
I think so too. I'd be surprised if
as
he
far
didn't
as
get past 40.
he's one Super Bowl win away from being in that next echelon of guys.
Yeah,
Because
he's
his
always
numbers,
been
I
on
mean, his numbers, I mean, the guy's numbers have been phenomenal. He doesn't throw interceptions. It's just maybe they finally take the clamps off and just, I mean, God, man, if they just let him throw, they can win a Super Bowl. We just got to see it. We got to see it.
Definitely. I agree 100%. I think he will get one more at some point. He's always been on a competitive team. Things are going to fall his way one more time, I think. But the last point, I think, which is a big one for the hobby, is that I put, will Lawrence be wasted in Jacksonville? Like, already rumblings about players not being on board with Meyer. Like you said, Meyer might be cutting out already. I mean, maybe that's what's best for him long term, but just, the Jaguars wasn't a great franchise. Everybody was salivating over the thought of the Jets, even though the Jets ruined quarterbacks daily. But I liked that he went to the Jags. I thought there was more there. But what are your thoughts on, like, Lawrence not having what it takes to be good in Jacksonville?
It's not his fault. That's a very bad. It's one of the worst organizations in sports. They had that one good year a few years ago where they spent a ton of money on defense and found lightning in a bottle. It's just a very poorly run franchise, and most of their draft picks have been horrible. And they've just wasted a lot of money. They've spent money in free agency, and it hasn't paid off. I question the ownership there, and I question whether or not look. Miami was in the same boat for a long time too, and I think now they've got it fixed.
Right.
The Patriots, long time ago, before Parcells and Belichick got there, God, they were horrible. I mean, I grew up with that team.
Things turn at some point, yeah.
Yeah, so whether or not, I don't think ownership is going to change because the Cons have tons of money and they're probably never going to sell that team.
Right.
But they've got to get a general manager in there that knows what the hell they're doing.
Right.
And until that happens, or until they get a coach in there that knows what they're doing, I question whether or not, I think you can't say he's going to get wasted there. But chances are there will be a new coach there, maybe pretty soon.
Right.
And that may help him. Maybe not this year because the defense doesn't look good. But down the line, if they get a general manager in there and the right head coach, but that's yet to be determined.
I'm not worried about the picks. Peyton Manning threw 20-some picks as a rookie year. Like,
yeah,
I'm not worried about that stuff. He's going to air it out. He's got a bad team. He's going to try to work it out. So I'm not worried about them. I just want them to actually get people around them.
Early third quarter to LaVisca, he threw a laser.
Right. Oh, that's there. The talent's there.
That they looked like Bledsoe. That to me, I was like, well, that's a Drew Bledsoe throw.
Right.
So I think he's got that kind of potential.
Right. And the reason the question was sparked was because I think about he's already outpricing like Herbert's based Donruss. He's already outpricing some of these guys.
Look, as far as buying goes, no. You got to. He's a sell. He's a sell.
Right. Got to temper for
sure. Until you see that organization with the right general manager and the right head coach, he's just not a guy you can put money into.
That's right. I agree 100%. Oh, perfect. Thanks, Mike, for being on. I really appreciate you going through the week. I mean, week 1 was awesome. It was great to see football back. It's just, I love it. Like having football on 24/7. It's a fun time. Yep. Again, those of you guys, like, make sure to follow me at @numbers_behind. Submit your favorite vintage card. Remember, Thursdays I'm doing vintage spotlight. Love to give people shout outs and show their cards to people and talk about the set. Kind of one segment I've added this year that's been fun so far. We've done 2 so far. But do you have a favorite vintage card, Mike, you like that you own?
I'm a big 50s baseball. I love the 50s Topps baseball. I think just about every year they did that year. I'd say like the 54 and the 55s are my favorite. So
Awesome.
like, you know, probably the Clementes, you know, out of those.
Awesome.
I don't own it. As far as vintage, what I own, I mean, probably looking at Oscar Robinson rookie PSA 8.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, cool. I think we had a Joe Namath rookie and Walter Payton Sweetness PSA 7 last week. So some pretty cool football options. But again, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate talking football with you.
You got it.